So ceremony 81 last night, just briefly. Just about logging the main point of it really, which was I spoke to Maestro during the day. I had my list of dieta plants in alphabetical order, and he said what we'll do is the next 3 ceremonies I'll connect you to 3 plants for the first 2 ceremonies, and then the last 2 plants on the last night. So last night was albahaca, ayahuasca, and bobensana, and it was beautiful. The plants revealed themselves to me, the plant spirits, beautiful colours, like just tall stems of plants, sort of, human body, a bit thinner than human body, but wispy, with the same beautiful fractal colours, with sort of heads on them that were tree or flowery like, but not really, with a sort of a vague face. And they were so polite and so respectful and so kind. It was a beautiful experience because he sang Icaros and mentioned each one separately, and then they all, at one point, all 3 of them were there, and I was thanking them for coming to me, and they said, we know who you are. We are inside you because of your dietas. So, but they said it's really nice to meet you, Mr. Steve, and I said, thank you so much. It's such a privilege to meet all of you. And there were a few conversations, can't really remember much, saying how alike they are to Mama Ayahuasca as a plant spirit, same sort of knowledge, and described aspects of her teaching that they said, as you already know. So it's just really nice to have some of their teachings. Can't really remember what they said now, but because it was a bonkers night again, another one. Oh, I had some strange things. Maestro, this has happened to me once before, a vague memory. It must be a long time ago. At one point he did a low kind of dark muttering, and for me in my vision it was like he was just really low down, kind of this really dark incantation. And I felt at one point something stung my ear, just stabbed me in the ear. I made me jump, and then I laughed at it because the next thing I could feel something tickling this ear. I thought, okay, just try and go through it. It's another test. And then I felt like insects crawling all over my head, and it was horrible. And there's just these insects, and I was it started off as wanting to scratch things, but then they turned into sort of insects, and a really big one right on my ear, and it stung me right in the ear with like a big barb, like bluff. Really made me jump. I had to, shit, what the fuck was that? And and then later on there was another situation where something fell out of the Maloka roof right next to my ear, and I kind of jumped, and I think what kind of bug it was, something. Jumped again, and I guess, I don't know, but I guess maybe it was part of something to stop the residual irritation, which Mama Ayahuasca had said to me last week. She said, your eczema is going to be healed because it's gone. She said, but there will be residual hangovers, like with any plant medicine, for a few days or however long afterwards. There will be just a bit of surface scratching, but no marks, there's no dots, there's no rash, except for a little bit today behind my knees, which is always where it's been strongest. So I put some Aglos on that one. It was itching, and I get the odd still on these arms where it was really bad, and it itches for a while, but there's no blotches, there's no eczema there, but just like this residual itching. I suppose just so it's been entrenched in my body for decades. I can't remember when I first realised I suffered from eczema. It was probably in my late teens or 20s maybe. So it's been there for fucking 40 years. Horrible. But getting progressively worse as I got older and older, especially with sweat. So I expect there to be times when might be the odd dots sort of touching certain chemicals where it may flare up, but at least when there has been a couple of dots or marks on my hands from touching something. Like papaya is a bugger. Preparing a papaya, and papaya's got resin in it. I remember being on a dieta with Ruspel and asking him about papaya, and he said, not on a dieta, it's got resin in it, which I didn't know. But yeah, and there are some fruits where their juice really was kind of affected me, like petrol, does, or other solvents sometimes. Cardboard boxes, it used to be terrible. I could touch some things and just flare up. And papaya is one of those. When I prepare it, it really stings and itches. I get papaya juice on my hands when I'm cutting open a papaya. But I do love it. Papaya is really nice. It's great to buy big ones here, like this round, and cut them in half, scoop all the seeds out, and then get the spoon and have it's a bowl. It's like having its own bowl that it's in, and then just spoonfuls of that for breakfast or something. And so, but the laughing came back, and the vomiting. God, the cleaning last night. It wasn't as nice as last Wednesday, and it wasn't as nice as, well, Friday was difficult first through the cleaning as well, but last night, no pains in the stomach, just darkness. And I said, said, Mama, this is never going to end. And she said, no, cleaning never ends for humans. It's that little dot of darkness in the light, because humans are half and half. So there's always going to be darkness, and to get you as clean as possible on the light side, when I did a cup and a third, same as all the other nights. I said to Maestro during the day, he said, yeah, we'll just do the same amount as last Friday, last Wednesday. Big cup first, which didn't really affect me. And then by the time the second cup was offered, it was interesting because ladies asked me, she asked me if I want another cup, and I said, yeah. Because I could feel the medicine a little bit, but I wasn't kicked into visions yet, even on the full cup after like 2 hours, which is normal. So to kick it in, I said, yeah, another cup. And she said, oh, Maestro thinks you should only have a little bit. I said, yeah, okay, just a piquito. But he gave me a third of a cup anyway. When it came back, it was a third of a cup. It's like, oh, Maestro gave it to me. Okay, I'm all in this week because it's my last week for God knows when, because Maestro's gone next week. There's probably no retreat next week anyway. Obviously, I just came here for information, but again, not being told anything. They just don't tell you anything. There's no guidance. There's no, right, okay, you could do this, or I could write down. They just don't tell you. I don't know why, and it's frustrating because I was a bit low about it today, thinking, look, it would take years to be a shaman. I've crossed the threshold, but I'm not a shaman in that sense. I've crossed the threshold to get to this new boundary, but my abilities to handle cleaning, I'm laughing at it. And I must have vomited 5 times in ceremony on an empty stomach again from lunch, and I'd only had a banana for breakfast, and yet it was still hit me hard, and it went right through, and I must have vomited 5 times in ceremony. But every time I vomited, I was just pointing the bucket as if, fucking bring it on. Like, I'm so fucking used to this, and it fucking more. Just get the fucking dark energy out, and then laughing my balls off about it. Just my ability to throw up and then just be. And occasionally, like, you're a bit laid out for a minute, your stomach has to relax and stuff, and then just, I'm good again. And then just, Mama had me in stitches last night. There were just, it's not funny as jokes, but to me at the time, it was fucking hilarious. There was one point back in the room, I just vomited and I was feeling really laid out. And I'm getting so exhausted. This is my 5th week consecutive, the most I've ever done. Because I did the first week, when the demon was revealed to me, partly cleaned. It started to clean up the rash from the hex, and the extent of that hex was so apparent. Mama said this is all residual of the damage that hex did to you, like at a physical level, spiritual level. All the spiritual stuff has been cleaned, but there's remnants in the body, so this is why the cleaning's heavy. So it was so powerful. That was such a nasty spell, because it was. Obviously, the point was to prevent me from coming back and crossing that threshold. That's why the black wall, when I got off the plane, like I felt not welcome. It was all that dark energy hex, and then making me fall in the street, doing my back. And an interesting vision as well, when I was at the retreat, when my back went the second time, there was a vision of a demon running through that camp. And as I stood up with a sword, it sliced right the way across my backbone, just, and that's when my back went. So that was weird. Again, to hit me right when I was just feeling great after doing the 2-week dieta, and then having lunch, feeling great, talking to the girls, and then stood up and that was a vision of the demon just running past me with a sword, just putting a big slice in my back when my back went. And of course that was friggin' agony. And then I had to take the pills, which was pharma chemicals. So there's residue of that to come out. And the shits was stinking last night. It was diarrhea and solids, but fuck, it was, oh God. So there's lots of, again last night, and then laughing but my stomach was killing me. I was laughing so much. I was just, and I'm exhausted. The accumulation, I've been absolutely exhausted all day, but I have slept for an hour this afternoon. Didn't get much sleep tonight till gone 4 o'clock. And I really needed to sleep by the end of the 3, because we got back here at 12. It was only me and Brian in the ceremony, so it was quite quick to get going. And we were done. I was back here for 12. But then wide awake, like Brian. Brian was vomiting for the first time, heavy after a ceremony. He hasn't vomited a lot, but he's exhausted. It's hit him hard in his second week. So he was vomiting at 2:25. I heard him because he's at the five rooms away from me. But I heard him vomiting last night. I thought, wow, that was a big vomit. He's finally cracked and getting clean, but of course, consequently, he's exhausted. Because it's the first 2 weeks for people. He's done one before 4 years ago, but this is his first retreat here in Peru, where it's proper stuff, So he's just completely deflated with no energy today. I was a zombie this morning. But the laughing, there was one point after I'd vomited, when it was really starting to wear me out by this time. I'd vomited a lot. I'd been to diarrhea for about 5 times. Been to the toilet 5 times, vomited 5 times, 5 times in Sarah. I must have vomited 10 times last night, and 6 or 7 diarrhea sessions up and down. And again, the same thing. As soon as you go, you get all settled down, rearrange the bed. It's like, I've got to sleep now. Just about settling down, and then, oh no, not again. I had to get up immediately and go again. It's like, oh Jesus. At one point, I still had visions and was talking to Mum a bit, and I just sort of said to Mum, I said, oh, Mama, what are you doing to me? And she just said, what do you think? It just cracked me up. As if I don't know. And that happened. There was a few little visions of interactions with Mama, and my retorts were just, to me, the dry response, and like just, getting a lesson and then about something, and then just saying matter of fact, because of all my, it's just going, I know, and just realising what I said in the vision, and just everything was hilarious again. I was cracking up at so much stuff, and again just thinking about my suffering, and of course this side of the shamanic barrier, just looking back at all my suffering and knowing that it was all tests to prove yourself worthy. That's what it's about, and it's fucking hell at the time in the real world, with all the eczema and the stress of the last year, particularly traveling, the low moods, the depression when the dietas were all misaligned, not getting the benefit of the healing. But it was all a test. Bye, Mama. She sets them all. She's fucking hard case. She is tough. It's tough love. Because you've got to show that you can, even though you're not handling it very well or at all, you still, still pushed and came back when it was necessary for the next stage. And you're like, what am I beginning here? What the fuck am I doing back here again? And then the whole process of the 3 weeks with my ankle gone, like I just wanted to get the fuck out and walk away from it all, and then the final week was key after my back being sliced, but knowing I just had to come back and then blow the flight out, and I had to, and it's just as well I did, because I wouldn't have got across the shamanic threshold and had such wonderful ceremonies, even though they were hard cleaning, as they always are for me. But after the cleaning's done, and then the vision. And Maestro singing last night was miraculous. The song, my favourite song, is so up-tempo. It's beautiful, and just the first 7 notes are perfect. Like listening to classic songs like Kate Bush again. Wow, and just hearing just what I know of music and production and everything in the song. Wow, unbelievable. I listened to that with a new set of headphones that I got, and it's just perfect. And just his Icaros were unbelievable. And once the cleaning was done and the visions again in Mama's heaven, it's just ecstasy. You don't ever want it to stop. And then the laughing, and I was just in fits in the ceremony. Once there was so much cleaning and vomiting in the bucket, and then just laughing about it 5 minutes later once the initial retching had been done. Oh God, that was, Jesus. Oh God. And that's on an empty stomach and just lays you out. But the cumulative exhaustion as the night went on, and you're still restless, you can't sleep. And you need to sleep, but you can't. It's killer. It's fucking killer. It's just fucking relentless. You just always, how the fuck is it possible that your body can go through that? And then thinking about 3.5 years of all the ceremonies and all the puking, I was thinking about this. This is the plants. How is it possible that your stomach can not fucking die? How's it possible? It's just mad. It's completely fucking nuts. And then thinking about 40 years of alcohol that my stomach has suffered. The damage, you'd think I'd have ulcers and fucking cancer and everything. It's just ridiculous the amount of punishment that the body can take. And then once it starts on the ayahuasca path and the healing and the rejuvenation and the rebuilding of the body, and oh boy. It's just crazy. The whole thing is just a continuous miracle of the universe, and just seeing the creation as the complexity in all its forms, and how complicated and beautiful it all is. It's insane. It's just the miracle of creation by the spirits, by supreme consciousness, and the creation of all the plants and all the different spirits and all the entities. It's fucking bonkers, when you get this level of knowledge about it all. Yeah, so anyway, that just a short one for ceremony 81. What time is it? It's 6:20. I'm going to go down and have some food. I'm going into the ceremony tonight because the guy, Daniel, he's really nice. He's from Brazil. He's a lovely guy. He's been in the US forces, speaks really perfect English. And he's just really, it's the first time for him. And I just want to be there because he's on his own. I'm not going in the ceremony, but I've just chatted to Maestro. I spoke to Gino this morning and they said, can I sit in the ceremony? Because I just want to maximize everything. I don't know if I might have a little bit of ayahuasca tonight just to see if I can meditate on the plants, just sitting with the facilitators as a sort of a facilitator, but leave them to it. Unless Christian does. He did 1/3 of a cup last night as well, because there's only 2 of us. But he was fine. He had to lay down a bit on the couch, on the bed later on, but he was doing all the shikapa work for Maestro when Maestro's playing the guitar. And he's wonderful. He's such an amazing voice. And just again, the miracle of the Icaros and what they can do. And and Papa Julio came as well. And he wanted to give us a hug. I had to sit up for an arcana. And I was laid out at the time, and a lady came over and said, Maestro wants you to sit up so he can give you a hug. And it was really bizarre because he had where he was, but I don't know where he was holding, and I just felt this, like his arm, like here, not a hug around my shoulders, like pulling me into his body. I thought it was Christian for a minute, so I put my arm around his back, around his shoulder, and giving him this hug. And then as he was singing Necro while he was hugging me, it was his spirit or whatever was as if he was in front of me actually singing. this is the way they split themselves. It's just bizarre. You have to, the experience is just fucking ridiculously beautiful, and the whole of the world of the spirits is such. When you're at this level and you're in the heavens of Mama Ayahuasca after all of my work, to be privileged to get that far, it's just the most beautiful. Shamanic ecstasy is just the most incredible thing. And for me, I suppose, being so much depression through most of my life, and the only times I've had really good laughs is being pissed out of my head with you, John, and other people, and just when you get uncontrollable laughter and the happiness, to feel happiness after such a lifetime of clinical depressions and being hammered by dark energy, knowing that that's what it was all the time, to prevent you, to put you through the tests, to get to this pinnacle of what's possible as a human being. You just never see it. You just never see it coming. You don't know about its existence before you come. And then, all of the suffering has meaning, because it's just been harsh tests through my whole life, and I got through them all. Cost me many times, of course, but it doesn't matter. And then being this side of the fence now and finding it so hilarious, just the knowing that comes, just the knowing as soon as you cross the shamanic barrier, and seeing everything and all of the suffering, and all my suffering in ceremonies, and then between ceremonies and traveling, still part of the test on the road to get to that point. It's just mental stuff. But now that it's there, I'm already starting to think a bit, today a bit, not low, but just the realization of the reality of it. I've been basking in the initial effects, but the reality is, I'm no shaman. Technically, spiritually, yes, but not a shaman in the real world, because I don't have the skills or the knowledge to be able to use it in any way. Whether that will come in future, who knows? But again, it's going to be another long path. Even if it continues, and you never know what Mama's got planned for you. So, but today I'm thinking, no, I was actually thinking about the reality of it, and just like, there's no information for me. There's no shaman that I'm working with permanently. So I'm back to the realistic. It's probably got to be back to the real world, which is disappointing. But you never know. You don't know who you might meet. But after him saying that you shouldn't work with other shamans, it's for dietas. But I don't know. It's Mama will unfold whatever she's going to unfold, and you just have to accept that. So it's kind of disappointing to have come that far across the threshold and then think, oh, no. At the moment, I just can't see it. I just can't see that there's a realistic, especially at my age, because it's going to take so many more years before you'd be able to, you'd have to be properly trained, and I just don't know. But anyway, it is what it is, and it's fine. So that's fine. That's the way it is.